Very soon, we are going to begin the 2024 Lok Sabha election. Nagaland will be part of the first phase of the Lok Sabha election on the 19th of April. And I want to speak to you today on 5 big issues that are going to be part of these elections. These are the 5 issues that I believe make the 2024 election much more important than they would otherwise have been. First, the British ruled India for over 200 years, and they followed a policy of divide and rule. For the last 10 years, we have Mr. Narendra Modi as Prime Minister, who has followed a policy of not just divide and rule, but more importantly, bluff and rule. So we have gone from divide and rule to bluff and rule. Now, why do I say bluff and rule? In 2015, a framework agreement was signed with one group in Nagaland. Mr. Narendra Modi said that is a game changer. We don't know what the details of that framework agreement are. In 2017, another agreement is entered into with another set of groups, and we don't know what the details of that agreement are. In 2023, when the assembly elections were being held, a third set of groups came forward and he made promises to that group. And every time he made promises, he would say, it's a game changer. It is a permanent settlement to the problems of Nagaland. We don't know the details of 2015. We don't know the details of 2017. We don't know the details of 2023. All we know is different people have been bluffed by the Prime Minister. So the first and most important issue in 2024 for the people of Nagaland and for the people of India is freedom. In 1947, we got freedom from divide and rule. In 2024, we require freedom from bluff and rule. Second issue, the entire Bjp-Rss agenda, ideological agenda, one nation, one election, one nation, one tax, one nation, one party, one nation, one leader, one nation, one religion, one nation, one language, one nation, one food. So, the Bjp-Rss agenda is to destroy religious diversity of India, linguistic diversity of India, ethnic diversity of India, regional diversity of India, food and dress diversity of India. And what happened in Manipur 11 months ago was a trailer, was the beginning. For 11 months, Manipur has been burning. People have been targeted because of their religion. Places of worship have been burnt because they belong to a particular religion. Prime Minister has not spoken a word. Prime Minister has not come to Manipur. He has not met the Chief Minister of Manipur, not met MP, MLA, political parties, because the agenda, what they started to do in Manipur, they will do in Nagaland, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram, all parts of the Northeast, to destroy the diversity of the Northeast. So the second issue is the protection of diversity of India. Religious diversity, ethnic, linguistic, regional diversity. which is under threat because of the BJP-Rss one nation, one religion, one nation, one language, one nation, one party, one nation, one leader policy. The third issue that is very important, which I want to repeat, which I said yesterday, in 1963, Nagaland became a full-fledged state of India. And Article 371A was introduced in the Constitution of India. This is the Constitution of India. In Article 371A, it says, no act of parliament in respect of religious or social practices of the Nagas, 2. Naga customary law and procedure, 3. Administration of civil and criminal justice involving decisions according to Naga customary law, and most importantly, number 4, ownership and transfer of land and its resources. I repeat, ownership of land and its resources shall apply to the state of Nagaland unless the Legislative Assembly of Nagaland by a resolution so decides. Now, Modi government removed Article 370, which provided special provisions for Jammu and Kashmir. 371A provides special provisions for Nagaland. 371B for Assam. 371C for Manipur. 371F for Sikkim. 371G for Mizoram. And 371H for Arunachal Pradesh. But today I am concerned only with 371A for Nagaland. So, a government that has removed 370 will remove 371A. Ownership of land and resources will go from the Nagaland Assembly to Parliament of India, which goes against Article 371A, which was introduced in 1963. So this is my third point. We have to protect 371A, particularly ownership of land and its resources. Naga customary law, Naga practice, Naga religion, Naga way of life, which is under threat. So this is the third point. Fourth point I want to say is that across the country, the biggest issue is unemployment. The highest unemployment rate we have seen in India in the last 45 years, particularly youth unemployment. The more educated you are, the greater is the chance that you are unemployed. And one unemployed educated youth commits suicide every 2 hours. This has never happened before. So the Congress party has introduced the 5 Justices program. Youth justice, women justice, farmer justice, worker justice, and social justice for weaker sections of society. Most important, we have to have jobs and more jobs for educated youth. Jobs in government, jobs in the private sector, jobs in manufacturing, jobs in services. But the Prime Minister will not talk about this issue. He will talk about other emotional issues, talk about religion, but he will not talk about the most important issue that exists today in India facing the youth of our country, namely record unemployment. So these are the 5 justices that we have promised. Fifth and final issue that I want to speak about today, and this has great importance in Nagaland. democracy means having an opposition. Here, everybody has joined NDPP, and the only party that is fighting the NDPP, which is masterminded by the BJP, is the Congress party. Democracy means strengthening of judiciary. Democracy means strengthening of the media. Democracy means strengthening of civil society. Democracy does not mean silencing the voice of the people. And this is what is happening in state after state, including Nagaland. This Constitution of India guarantees freedom of speech. But what is important today in Nagaland, in Manipur, in other parts, is not just freedom of speech, but freedom after speech. You're free to speak. But what happens to you after you speak? You'll be put in jail. There'll be a case against you. National Security Act will be imposed on you. So my friends, it's not just freedom of speech. Democracy means freedom after speech. And that is under threat. So we need to save democracy. The 2024 election is a save democracy election. It is a save constitutional election, save constitution election. And that is why the Congress party has launched this 5 Justice, 25 Guarantees program. We have launched our manifesto. We are fighting the election. We have a young PCC president, active PCC president, Supongmeren Jamir. Mr. Rahul Gandhi spent 2.5 days in Nagaland. 250 kilometers we travelled during the Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra. Mokokchung, Tuli, Wokha. We spent 2 days and 3 nights. Basically, to send a signal that we care, that we are sensitive to the situation in Nagaland, into the Northeast in general, but in Nagaland in particular. And we believe that 2024, the people of Nagaland will once again place their confidence at the national level in the Congress party and its allies, the India group, and in Nagaland also. Our candidate, Mr. Jamir, Supongmeren Jamir, will win with a convincing majority to send a signal to Mr. Modi and his allies that enough is enough. Indians want freedom from bluff and rule. Indians want freedom after speech. Indians want jobs. Indians want justice. Mr. Dr. Manmohan Singh spent hours talking to his colleagues, spent days, spent months talking to his colleagues about bringing peace and development and harmony back in Nagaland. And what we saw in 2015, the framework agreement that Mr. Modi entered into, was the result of negotiations that had started from the mid-90s, taken forward Narasimha Rao, Deve Gowda, Gujral, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and then Dr. Manmohan Singh. So, Dr. Manmohan Singh, I know, in all the positions that he has occupied, including the Prime Minister, but before that, of course, he was the Finance Minister, he has always held the Northeast in the highest of regard and esteem. And he never did anything to disturb the social balance of the Northeast. We never had a Manipur type situation when Dr. Manmohan Singh was the Prime Minister. When the Prime Minister refused to go was unable to go, was unwilling to go to a state of the Indian Union where people are killing each other in the name of religion, in the name of ethnicity, in the name of language, in the name of their way of life. So I am afraid that the comparison is misplaced, because it was Dr. Manmohan Singh as Prime Minister who did his maximum to protect Article 371A, particularly for Nagaland. Since your question relates only to Nagaland, I am talking only of Nagaland. But what he did was equally applicable to other states of the Northeast as well. It was Nehru's government, when he was Prime Minister, Nagaland became a full-fledged state of the Indian Union. There were many people in Assam, in other parts of the Northeast, who had a different point of view. But Nagaland was created as an independent state of the Indian Union in 1963. And Article 371A, which is the first of the special provisions under Article 371. And you know Article 371A, I am sure you have seen it. It's one of the longest articles in our Constitution. It runs into 3.5 pages. It's as detailed special provision as possible, including talking about control over land, ownership of land and resources. Congress governments have been in power in Nagaland. Elections have been held in Nagaland. Governments have come, governments have gone. The current Chief Minister of Nagaland was Home Minister in a Congress regime. So the Congress party has been part of the political system of Nagaland for decades. And it is not as if development has not happened, but the aspirations of the people have grown astronomically. And we have to respond to those changing aspirations. The population has become younger. The population has become much more connected, much more educated. So we need to respond to that. And what I am trying to tell you is that the response of the Bjp-Rss is not tuned to responding to these concerns of youth. Because their priority is one nation, one language, one nation, one religion, one nation, one food. They will decide what you will eat, what you will dress, how you will worship, where you will worship, what language you will speak. They will decide. I think most of the projects that have got completed in the last 10 years were projects that had been initiated in the previous 10 years. I can tell you from my own experience, projects that I had initiated when I was Commerce Minister, when I was Power Minister, when I was Environment Minister, when I was Rural Development Minister, not just in Nagaland but in other parts of the Northeast, have got completed later on. And of course, the Prime Minister, the current Prime Minister has no rival in the world for claiming credit for works done by somebody else. Works have been completed. I know, for example, long bridges have been completed. They were started many years ago. It takes years to complete bridges. It takes years to lay a railway line. One Prime Minister will begin the process of laying a railway line. Some other Prime Minister will be there when the railway line is completed. So many of the projects, most of the high visibility projects that you are seeing, particularly in the Northeast, are projects that have been started years ago. And because of logistics and infrastructure and other issues, and sometimes law and order issues, they could not be completed. And they have been completed. So the visible projects, yes. But I think fundamentally, Manipur should be a wake-up call to people in the Northeast. Because what has happened in Manipur, the atmosphere of fear, atmosphere of intimidation, the targeted attacks on people belonging to different religion, the burning down of places of worship, these are fundamental freedoms are at stake. And I think in 2024, those issues will be very, very important. So yes, projects have been, commissioned. Power projects have been commissioned, bridges have been commissioned, national highways have been commissioned. But these are projects that have had long gestation periods, and because of geographical and other reasons, the gestation period for projects in the Northeast is longer.
Yes.
Because the working season is shorter, because of the monsoon and there are many other reasons. So the Prime Minister has certainly taken credit for a lot of the works that had been started during Dr. Manmohan Singh's time. And Dr. Manmohan Singh completed many projects that had been started during Mr. Vajpayee's time. And Mr. Vajpayee completed many projects that had been started in Mr. Narasimha Rao's time. That is what government is all about. Continuity in government is very important. But Mr. Modi thinks that Nagaland began, Northeast began only in 2014.
Nagaland TV, Sob Manulaga Awas. Watch us live on Geo TV and on your television sets as well. For Dimapur viewers, we are on channel number 994 in Global Chapter, and Kohima and Mokokchung viewers, switch to channel number 138 on Hornbill Digital. For all news and updates, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Twitter.